Hello, it is Don here from Operation Alpha with the next in my 30 Days of Tips series, which has been a bit dragged out with the holiday season. In fact, this is the first one I've done so far this year, so I'm back in the groove now, and I'll get straight into it. I've got a very interesting question to talk about today. It's a bit of a long one, so bear with me. And it's from a friend of mine, Lesley Scott, who's in the States, and she says that there is some interesting research out of the University of Hertfordshire that found that the biggest determinant of being happy was accepting oneself. How do you reconcile with the people you train the gap between self-acceptance of where they are when they come to you and finding the motivation you need to make long-term behavioural change with diet and exercise? All the research seems to indicate that the best workout is the one you can stand on a regular basis. How do you get people from their here to their there while encouraging acceptance of self? Okay, so this is a pretty deep question, the most profound one so far, but it's one that I have a lot of thoughts on. So I really like this question. My first starting point would be, the diet fitness industry and much of mainstream media has become very adept at making people feel like they're not good enough, yeah? Particularly in terms of the way their body looks and aesthetic ideals. It's a real shame, there's a lot of slightly false images and unrealistic images that are rammed down your neck. Photoshop is rife, and everybody, people who are almost impossibly perfectly good looking are kind of held up as being this ideal that we should all be aspiring to. And I would also suggest that it's almost culturally acceptable to kind of look down upon and sneer upon people who are maybe not in the best aesthetic shape. And I think the diet and fitness industry is pretty guilty of this as well. Even, a lot of personal trainers, I would say, are pretty guilty of fat shaming and feeling a little bit superior to normal people. And again, just sort of perpetuating this idea that you have to look a certain way, and if you don't, you're somehow inadequate. So the first step is understanding that that is a very cynical message which is being sent your way. And I really like to promote a very different message to the guys that I work with. And remember, most of these guys are lads who are in the trenches, right? They're in their 30s. They've got busy careers. A lot of them are very successful in every aspect of their life. They've got a partner, they've got a wife, they've got kids. To all intents and purposes, these are successful people. They may not have a body that looks, fantastic, but, that's not a reason to feel inadequate. A trainer or a model or a fitness model whose career is all about looking a certain way, well, it's very easy to do that when that's your life, right? Or if you're a Hollywood actor and the rest of it. So the first thing to realize is that these are kind of unrealistic expectations in some ways, and also a lot of these people who would have you feel inferior, how superior are they really? I would suggest not. Yeah, so that's the first stage. And while I train men, I see this a lot with women in particular. One thing that really depresses me actually is this kind of almost hysterical need for a woman to get rid of her pregnancy pounds, as soon as possible. As soon as she's had the baby, it's almost like this self-disgust, with what her body looks like, and she has to get in shape as soon as possible, which I think is really sad and ridiculous. It's the key to our whole existence, is women giving birth to children. It's this beautiful, fantastic thing that they were made to do, and yet somehow what that does to their body is kind of projected as being something that they should be ashamed of. So there's all this kind of bullshit that's going on. So the first thing is understanding that, and the second thing is kind of acknowledging how good you are. It's in all those aspects of your life that I've mentioned, your career and your relationships, and a lot of things that you are successful with that you can draw strength from, and focusing on the good parts of your character that can help you to now tackle this goal, which, you know, so far you've not been able to tackle up to, you know, to a standard that you're happy with. Okay, so that's the first thing. Yeah, the acceptance thing is it's very difficult, and then part of that as well is obviously trying to get people to have a realistic goal, and a realistic time frame of achieving it, rather than this kind of you know, very, very high up there kind of aesthetic ideal and trying to achieve it as quickly as possible. That's a surefire way to make you feel inadequate. And also, the other thing as well is to understand that you know, we can be very guilty, I think, as you know, ambitious people, to always have this kind of abstract idea of what we need to do or what we need to achieve in the future in order to be happy. So we're always chasing something, and it's like we can't be happy until we get to that point, you know. And this is never more true than with health and fitness, you know, getting that six-pack or getting a bigger chest. And until we get there, we can't be happy. In the meantime, it's all about slaving away and grinding and being tough on yourself and being hard on yourself. And I think a revelation for a lot of people is when they can understand that actually that whole process can be really enjoyable as well. You know, to just take pleasure in moving well, in training well, in starting to eat better, and actually understanding that every day can feel good and every day can be something that you can be proud of. Okay, so I'm aware we're coming up to 7 minutes here. So I better wrap it up there, but I hope that gives you some kind of idea of my thoughts on this. And I think it's, you know, certainly being realistic about your goals, acknowledging your good points, not defining your self-worth by what you see in the mirror, which is easier said than done, I know. And also understanding that you can actually train in a way and live in a way and have a lifestyle that you can enjoy. And again, this often comes down to what I keep saying, is that, you know, having the realistic, moderate, sustainable lifestyle rather than the extreme approach to your health and fitness. So I'm going to wrap it up there anyway. I could talk about this loads, so by all means, I'd love to, you know, get a thread going. If you want to comment below, I'd really like to get this going. You can send me an email as well, and, you know, I'm happy to keep this going. But I better wrap up the video now, as it's this is the longest one I've ever done. So yeah, keep the questions coming in. I hope that's been helpful, and I will speak to you soon. Cheers.